Hello, folks. Welcome along once again. We are up for the match. Finals left, right, and centre in terms of football coming up this weekend. So we're here to preview all those, and we're going to do so in association with Sports Equipment Ireland. And thanks to them for getting in touch with us for sponsorship once more. The website sportsequipment.ie, and as always, they'll give us a promo code TLWB for 10% off anything on the website. Stocking all your team training equipment, including tactic boards, poles, bibs, cones, and much more, as well as a large range of Christmas gift ideas for kids. So thanks to Sports Equipment Ireland for getting in touch with us once more. So how are we going to work this? Right. It's fairly hectic, I won't lie. We've got 8 guests to get through over the next hour or so. And yeah, lots of finals to preview. So the way we're going to work it is we're going to cover the games in the corresponding order which they are happening. So first up at the weekend is the Carlow Senior Ladies Football Final. That's at 1:30 over in IT Carlow. And it is Bennekerry Ryland up against O'Loughlin once more. Surprise, surprise. They've had many a good battle over the last number of years, and they are renewing their rivalry once more. And just while we're on the topic of it, before we bring in the guests, John Nolan is doing a live stream of that final on YouTube. The link is on the Carlow Ladies page, and us here at the Left Wing Back are providing the commentary for that. So looking forward to doing so. So let's bring in the guest, Deirdre Tomlinson. How's things?
Fine, thanks, Kevin.
Good to talk to you once more. And Niamh Forde, how are you keeping?
Hello, how are you?
Flying it now. Listen, great to finally get you. We didn't think we were going to have you there at one stage. We had with a picture and no sound. It just be like that at home here every now and then as well. But we can hear you now, so we're all good. So yeah, we're looking forward to another Titanic tussle, and you've enjoyed some big ones over the last couple of years, it's fair to say. This rivalry, I would say, Deirdre, probably goes back, is it 2016 or 2017 maybe, when you started this rivalry?
Yeah, I think if I'm correct, this is our fifth consecutive year to meet O'Loughlin. They've won the last 3 previous, and we won the first one before that. So yeah, that's 5 years meeting each other really.
Yeah, there are no strangers in even fairness. I'd say you probably played in nearly all of those as well, did you?
I think so, yeah. I think the year I started playing was the year before that. So we got bet in a semi-final by Fortunes or Fenna. And then I think that's the year that Bennekerry Ryland won that, I think, that final.
Yeah. So is it fair to say that you kind of know each other inside out?
Yeah, we haven't actually played each other. Yeah, we didn't play each other this year. We didn't finish out that last championship match because we know we're going to be meeting each other in the county final. But yeah, we do. It's going to be like a game of chess, I suppose, like anything. Like we've come off 3 tough defeats in the last county final, so against O'Loughlin. So, you know, everyone makes their preparations and you prepare as best you can. And when it comes to it, sometimes it's just a bit of luck on the day. So we just have to give everyone everything our best.
And obviously, Niamh, in terms of that, like not only do you know each other inside out from an opposition point of view, but also a lot of these girls obviously played together with the county too. So it is a very small little cohort.
Yeah, it really is. Like I think between the two of us, we make up the majority of the county panel. Like, and sure, we play with each other, play against each other. They get to know each other fairly well, fairly quickly. So yeah, we think it's always really interesting then, because it's like not really like other matches that you play where you're sort of going in blind. Like there's a lot of planning involved, and because we know, like again, we know each other so well, like they know us and we know them. So yeah, it's really interesting matches between the two of us.
There does indeed. So obviously, Niamh, a lot of players from the O'Loughlin side are quite busy over the last few weeks. Another county final last weekend, and unfortunately didn't go in your favour, and I suppose hard luck on that. Michael are a very good side, as we all know. 22 in a row, it's not too shabby, fairness, but I know you were kind of struggling a little bit. You picked up a knock near the end, so you're probably under a bit of pressure, I'd say. You're doing everything in your power, I'd imagine, to get right.
Yeah, sure. Look, like playing the two sports isn't easy for anyone, so it's hard going on the legs now, to be honest, the last few weeks. But yeah, trying hard, getting back and seeing physio, so it could be all good, hopefully.
Yeah, that's all you can do. So we're talking to the respective captains here. I don't know if I mentioned that at the outset. So Deirdre, yourself and Niall are kind of joint captains, and Niamh, you're captain of O'Loughlin. So geez, we're going well to get 2 captains on a live stream a couple of days out before a county final. You wouldn't get that now in too many places. But here we have it here tonight, so delighted for that. But no doubt, it's a very proud thing to be able to do. To lead, your team is a great honour, and there's lots of leaders, I suppose, on the team anyway. But it's nice to be out there in front and leading. So what I would ask is, Deirdre, I'll start with you. Like, in terms of your style of leadership, do you lead? Do you think? I know you're a very social person, right? So is it the talking aspect that you think you bring your strong leadership to, and giving people advice in that sense? Or do you feel you're kind of leading by doing? Because a lot of people feel those are the two different types of captain.
Yeah, I suppose that's a good point. I think when I started playing sport at the beginning, when I was younger, I kind of tried much more on encouragement, even if I made a mistake. Whoever was managing me or coaching me, didn't highlight the mistake, but the next ball or whatever else. And I think that I brought that through in my later years or whatever, even coaching younger kids and along with my own teammates. I feel like giving out to someone for missing a ball isn't going to correct it, and you can't go back, but you can. If someone said, "Oh, hard luck, there's your next ball," I'd forget about the ball I lost and think about, I actually can get the next ball or whatever it is. So I would say I probably encourage more, and I like talk and whatever else as much as you can on the pitch. But trying to get the player around you or in that row with you just to kind of like think about the next ball or whatever, and not to think about what they may have done wrong.
Would Nuala be similar in that then?
Yeah, and Nuala has her big northern accent as well, and she does more of the shouting than the roaring. We don't always understand her. We've got to understand her in the last few years, but no, absolutely, yeah, she would.
Yeah, and I suppose Nuala will bring great experience to it as well. I think Nuala has a couple of All-Ireland medals with Foxcab, doesn't she?
Yeah, she does indeed. Yeah, she's represented Monaghan as well. She's had some great accolades with Foxrock. She's captained the Carlow team as well. And I suppose neither of us knew we were going to get the call up till maybe 2 weeks ago. So we had no idea. So we were both really thrilled.
Mm-hmm. So, Niamh, how long have you been captain?
Yeah, just since the start of this year. So before our first match, I suppose Barry would have said it to me. But like in the team that we have, there's so many leaders, like so many girls are already leading on the pitch. Like Aoisin was captain of the county team this year, and Anna does such a phenomenal job as well leading. There's so many girls like that it's not like, it makes my job very easy because people are all encouraging each other and pushing each other on. So like since the start of the year, like I've really been so proud of them, like all watching everyone taking a step up this year, I think, and really pushing on.
And as a club, I would say you're probably training that bit longer maybe than Bennecarry Tinryland, given the fact that you had the Leinster final as well. That was back in July, I think. So you're on the go a little bit, I'd say, a little bit longer anyway than Bennecarry Tinryland.
Yeah, it's been a long old stretch all right now. Especially with the Camogie as well, like you've got that 14 people crossover, I think. So yeah, we have been training for a while, but the lads are fairly good. Like they know when we can be pushed and they know when we need a bit of a rest. So full credit to them. Like they've really managed it really well.
Yeah, because that wouldn't be easy. And I suppose given the fact that Mark Byrne was with the Camogie team, you're looking at two All-Auckland people there who would know each other quite well. Mark and Barry on top of it. And obviously, that relationship, I'd imagine, was easy enough to try and probably manage, and you'd be looking out for girls and hoping that they wouldn't pick up knocks and trying to prevent it as much as possible.
Yeah, to be fair to them, they managed it pretty well. Like I think they sat down a few times and ordered out the calendar and sorted out the different training days. But we were keeping in contact with both of them as well. Like myself, I suppose, as a dual player, and some of the other older girls were keeping in contact with the both of them just to keep them updated on what we were doing at trainings and stuff, just so everyone was kept in the loop.
Yeah, that's the way to have it. Dee, from your point of view, you're very rarely idle anyway, but I do believe you might have picked up another job in the last few days.
Oh yeah, I think I am now the PRO for the county team.
Yeah.
Much like Breeze Nolan, chairperson for Michael. Yeah, no. I said I didn't mind giving a handout. They were kind of down short a person in the role, so yeah, I said I'd throw my hat at it, but I'm not overly technically minded, so it's a bit of a challenge either way. But sure, look, it's good to promote the football, and we have great teams and great underage teams coming through and all the rest. So anything I could do to kind of help to promote that or get it out there, I don't mind doing.
You won't be long picking it up, sure. All them young kids now are whizzes and all, and sure,
Yeah,
you're the
exactly,
media group I'm informed, but I'd say they won't be
Yeah.
long letting you know how to best manage that
I don't
particular
know
role.
what half they're doing half the time.
You're probably better off not knowing. But
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, listen, that's the jigs and the reels of it. But just to give a broader context on the season that leads us into the games for those who may not have been following ever. So you mentioned already that fixture didn't go ahead. Obviously, you wouldn't want it. Like, there's no point, right? Let's be honest about it. It's just pointless. But what got you to the final? What was the route for each? And Dee, I'll start with you.
Our first game was against St. Fortune's over in Fenagh. And then unfortunately, we got a walkover from Rathvilly in our second game. Our third game was against Michael, and then we didn't play O'Loughlin. So really, haven't had a huge opportunity. The All-County League was a brilliant idea at the beginning of the year, where you don't play your county players. And that was really good for loads of players to kind of play and whatever else. But in terms, I suppose, of our preparation for our championship, 2 championship games before a final, and I know the third one was our own decision not to play, or both our decisions not to play, but it's not the greatest run in, and it's sometimes hard to get championship matches this late in the year, but we just, when we couldn't get matches, we trained and did the best we could, really.
Mm-hmm. And Niamh?
Yeah, sure. Much like Deirdre, we played our first match back, God, it seems a long time ago now, against Michael at the start of the year. And then we played St. Fortune's and Rathvilly then, and then didn't play the last match. And like Dee said there, like it's hard going, like playing only we played 3 matches on the run up, like, and it is hard to be getting matches. So we've all been working hard and training, like trying to push on, because that's where you're getting the most of it this year. But yeah, like, and the All-County League as well, there's a good few girls involved in that as well. And I think it was a really nice idea for them, like really good for girls to get a run like that, mightn't necessarily get a run all the time. Yeah,
because getting games is the most important thing at the end of the day. So look, that's where we leave it, folks. 1:30 Saturday, IT Carlow, and as you said, John Nolan is doing a live stream, and the left wing back are providing commentary for that. So looking forward to getting stuck into that one as well. And it's going to be a cracker. Niamh, Forde, Deirdre, Tomlinson, the very best luck to both of you, and we'll see you on Saturday. All right, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
There we go. So we say goodbye to Deirdre and goodbye to Niamh. And now we have Mr. Niall Gorman of St. Patrick's. How are we doing, Niall?
Not too bad, Kevin. Yourself?
As you're flying now. So Saturday at 2:00 we have the minor football final. That's over in Netwatch Cullen Park, and it's yourselves and Éire Óg. We're going to be joined by Cormac Mullins in a couple of moments' time. But wow, this is a fairly novel thing to be happening. When was the last time actually the St. Patrick's were in the final? Because I saw a programme go around. It wasn't 1985, wasn't that, Lent, was it?
No, it was 91.
Right.
Unfortunately, we were on the wrong side that day. Clonmore would come out victors that day. But that team would have been a lot of the total team that went on and won the vocational schools All Ireland the year after.
Mm-hmm.
So it did, Unfortunately, they came then, a lot of them guys emigrated over the years, They'd only done their college or apprenticeships and they were gone, they left the club. So, but
Paddy Quirk was over that team, wasn't he, I think?
Des Murphy and Pádraig Canaan, Des Murphy and Paddy Quirk would have been. Pádraig Canaan was the manager,
Yeah. So quite some time. You're literally looking at 20 years. So
30 years.
30 fucking years. Jesus. Yeah. Sorry for cursing there. That's why I'm not a teacher now. But this lad I think is a teacher, and I'll bring him in. Cormac Mullins, how are you getting on, lad?
How are you doing, Kev?
Yeah, you might help me out to count here. I don't realise how old I am at all. But
I'm not a maths teacher, Kev, so I don't know.
Yeah, well, listen, you're not going to be idle over the weekend. That's for sure.
No. Thankfully, it's a very busy weekend. So obviously the minor on Saturday and senior on Sunday. So it's been a bit of a hectic week. You're in the club nearly every night, but look, it's an enviable position to be in. It's a privilege, I suppose, to be involved in both the games. So very, very lucky and looking forward to the weekend, definitely.
Yeah, and look, as I said to Niall in regards to the minor final, it is a novel enough kind of pairing, whatever. I think it was 1985. Did I see someone share it?
Yeah, 86.
86 was it? Yeah,
86. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
An
mad.
uncle of mine was playing on the team that day, so he wasn't long about telling me.
Yeah.
I just saw it shared there online during the week. I saw the programme, and there's a few, just from the Air Oak side, there's a few interesting names on it. I think Joe Murphy was playing wing back there, so it's just he'll have a big weekend himself as well. So it's nice to see, like it is.
Yeah, there's lots of connections there, and I think, did I see Alan Callan, Jimmy Dooley, John Kearns? Is that the same match program I'm looking at?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, it's mad, and Mr. Kearns is jumping on here later on as well to talk about the senior final. I didn't want to put Cormac under too much pressure here, but so like, yeah, you mentioned that it is kind of busy or whatever, but in terms of the patch to the minor final, right? Because sometimes we fall down a little bit in that we're not quite sure how teams actually got there, and we maybe don't give it as much exposure as it should get, and hand up for that. I'm not alone. But how did you actually get to the final? Talk us through the season, and Niall, I'll start with you.
Yeah, I suppose the county minors took a lot from ourselves in Air Oak at the start of the year. Like, we had 5 or 6 guys in with the county minors, so they ran an all-county league, which was without all the county minors. So we got a few games under our belt, giving guys runs out at the start, before the boys came back in. Then the league started off, and I suppose just it was done on a league format, home and away, So we went out to Pal the first day. We came out with a lucky win. Then we went over to Parky Bryn near Rogan to give us a hiding. That day, so we had to learn from that straight away, So we did. So we after that game, we sort of got our backs to the wall and knuckled down a bit,
Mm-hmm.
So I think Air Oak beat us twice. We beat Pal away, and we beat Mullins Rangers away, and we beat Ryland twice. So that was enough to get us into semi-final again, Rangers, a few weeks ago, and thankfully we came out on top that day in a dirty, wet day.
Good stuff. And obviously, from your point of view, Cormac, we know a couple of the results there now, but the rest of them fill us in.
Yeah, well, I suppose, as Niall said there, the format this year was the league kind of group stages, and there was a lot of games. And I suppose just with the COVID and the break and the long break that the players had and the lack of football, it was pretty nice to have, those run of games where you could just let the lads play football. We've a good squad there, and it's nice to kind of get to see the full amount of your lads and use them and see what you have. But yeah, like, we were in a 5-team group with Ireland, Leinster, Pal, and Tullow, obviously. We got through the group pretty well. We came through it unbeaten, which is good. But we had lots of different tests along the way. Like, when the second time we played Tullow out in Tullow, it was a very different game than, I suppose, the first one in Air Oak, and it showed how much Tullow had come on and maybe learned from that first game. So it was a bit of a battle out there, and we learned a lot from that night as well. So we went into a semi-final versus Pal then out in Fenna, and as we said, there was just a terrible, terrible day for football, especially in the second half. So that became a kind of a battle in the second half as well. But we came through it, and I think it was 6 or 7 points in the end. So yeah, we're looking forward now to Saturday after getting a lot of football under the belt in that time.
And you're obviously no stranger to big minor final days, more so with the county now, because obviously you're a Blues man, I think, when you were representing the county that time in 2007. But I suppose, that experience and all, and obviously anyone that's still playing would have played minor or underage at some stage, but can you kind of resonate with certain things with the chaps, Cormac, given the fact that you were there, but they're on a big day as well? Does that help in kind of keeping them focused for days like Saturday?
Yeah, like, I suppose it does. And like, working with Richie Mann there as well, who'd have a huge involvement obviously down through the years, and at senior level with Air Oak as well, and you've James Brady and James Root as well, and it's a good kind of management team that work well together, and everybody is able to give their input to the lads from their own experience. And certainly we try to do that. But the group themselves is an experienced group. Like, this is for some lads, it'd be their third minor final in a row. For the majority of the group, it's now they're going, hopefully looking for back to back. They're in their second final in 2 years. So, they can probably look at their own experience as well from big games. And we've got dual players as well that are playing big hurling games. And there's some lads going to be involved in a minor hurling final next weekend with Carlow Town. So, they're no strangers to big games themselves. And, they're a great group of lads, so that they take on a lot of advice and a lot of coaching kind of things that we try and get across to them. But, they're great.
Yeah, and Niall, in terms of the lads that are involved with you with the side, I'll double this up by asking who they are first of all, and at say 13s and 15s level, were Tullow in kind of finals, or is this kind of a sporadic kind of a thing that they've just kind of peaked at this particular time?
No, this is a really talented group. We've been no strangers to Éire Óg at this age group. We won it in under 12. I think Éire Óg got the better of us by a couple of points in the under 15 final. So it's on to now. So there's always been ding dong battles over the years, So Owen O'Toole is with me and Tim Healy. So they're the two guys. So, and in fairness, we're after working very well together. Tim has been with this group since they're under 9s or 10s. He brought them the whole way through. His own two young lads are involved, so he stuck with them. And I only came on board this year. I wasn't involved last year. But Cormac tell you the game went to a very, very tight game in the semi-final last year, and Éire Óg won by a point. We have 13 of that team underage this year. So even though they wouldn't have played in, say, minor finals, they wouldn't be shell-shocked to be in a final, like.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, like I remember that game, the semi-final last year was up in Éire Óg, and we were very lucky to come out of it in the end. I remember our keeper making a point-blank save with Sean Murphy with a couple of minutes to go that, if that goes in, we were in big trouble. And luckily it didn't for us, and we kicked on then. I think we won just by a point in the end. So, we knew that Tullow team would be coming again this year, and would be definitely a force to be reckoned with, like, so.
Yeah, I think the whole COVID thing, Cormac, just held all them young lads back at the start of the year, and as I seen myself as the year went on, their fitness built up, and now the football started to play then. So I'd say now we should be in for a good game of football on Saturday, please God.
One thing, lads, just before I do let you go, there's a lot of debate around the actual grade and what it should be, under 17 or under 18. And I see pros and cons to it, right? But one big pro I can see, having coached minors for a couple of years in 16 and 17, is I think it's so much easier to hold on to when it's under 17, because yourselves, when it was under 18, certain lads become legal and then they find certain things, right? So I think that's a big advantage. And other people will say it gives them an extra year kind of a thing to maybe develop, but I don't really get that, because, if they're under second year minor, it changed in spades, I think. So there was one stage where you could play actually when you're under 16, and then it went to you could play on your first year minor in terms of going playing senior, and then you had to be 18. So it's kind of changed progressively. But are you kind of comfortable and happy with the grade, or would you like to see it go back to 18s? How do you both feel about that?
Yeah, well, I personally think it's 17 is good, because the reason being, if you had 18, you could do half a panel or more to college, and we have a few guys got started there now in September, and even trying to get them back here for training, at the weekend. So if you have a 17-year-old is easier to keep. They're back in school. You have them at home, especially when the championship is going on this late in the year as well,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like I'd agree as well. Like I've been involved in minors in Éire Óg for the last couple of years, and all the time throughout that we would have had supplemented the panels with some, say, good under 15 players, and it's nice for those guys to maybe see the older guys on the minor panel and maybe learn a little bit from them as well. And as we said, like it is easier to keep a hold of them when the majority of them are in secondary school rather than going on to college. I suppose it's just really then about bridging that gap between under 17 to what comes next.
Yeah.
and it's about just readying them to play adult football. Like that's kind of, I suppose, our main focus in Aero, preparing these guys for adult football and making sure they're ready to make that step up. And if you win championships along the way, then fantastic, or if you're contesting in finals or anything like that. But it's certainly, I think, easier to hopefully push them towards that.
Mm-hmm. Well, listen, lads, we'll leave it there. As you said, 2:00 Saturday night, West Park. Minor final, St. Patrick's versus Aero. Cormac Mullins, Niall Gorman. Thanks for joining us, and the very best luck to both of you, Ari.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.
Thanks, Emil. So we say goodbye to Niall, and we say goodbye to Cormac, and we have Andrew Byrne on standby. How are you getting on, Andrew?
Well, how's it going? Are you well?
Sure, not too bad at all. Oisin Boland should be joining us in a moment's time. I think he's good to go. He looks good to go on, yeah. How are you doing, Oisin?
Yep. How are you getting on, lads? Good.
Sure, flying. You're only in the door from training, I think, Oisin, yeah?
Yeah, just back there now, so just got a bit of grub and shower and all. And sitting down
that's not a great night to be training.
No. Hopefully for a bit better weather now on Sunday, but no, it's grand, sure.
Yeah.
Get the last few kicks in, so.
Yeah, and some lads were actually wondering where he was training at all, so that puts that to bed fairly quickly.
Training in the rain.
Training
Yeah, training in the rain, the whole lot. Jeez.
Yeah, no. I'll tell you, the commitment levels are high up there. So, look, we were kind of training 2 nights a week there for the last few weeks. So, we said we'd stay going now this week, and it's just a light session in there, but just getting out, kick around now before the weekend.
Good stuff. Andrew, you trained this evening, or what was the crack with you?
No, there was a few of us out. There's a recovery rooms out here called Bounce Back Recovery. So there was a few of us out there this evening, all right, at the race home. After that, a bit of ice bath and kind of just mind the body, I suppose, before Sunday. We were training last night, all right. So
yeah, good stuff. Well, I'm reliably informed that you're a left wing back, so this makes the appearance rather appropriate. And also, your grandfather a left wing back on a Clonmore team that won a championship back in the 50s, I think.
I think so. My family, we're not the best footballers. My uncles and everything, but my grandfather passed it. It kind of skipped a generation. So myself and I have a twin brother. We're on the team. Anthony Byrne there, and a load of cousins and all would all be playing with Clonmore. So we got good blood, I suppose, in us. So hopefully a bit of luck, and we'll be winning on Sunday like the granddad as well, you know.
Yeah, someone told me 2 Byrnes worse than a Scald. heard that said before. But
there's more than two Byrnes in our team anyway. I tell you, there's about 10 of us.
Oh, Jenny Mac, it could be 3rd degree, so. But no, listen, it's look, lads, it's a novel pairing, right? Being honest about it, and it's mad to see St. Mullins back with the team, first of all, and good, not just mad, very good and very positive. And involved on county football final day. I suppose this is the joys of a pandemic in the last year and a half, and it throws up all kinds of crazy things. And now St. Mullins on county football final day. So Oisin, I think it goes without saying that the structures have probably been a key factor in St. Mullins being able to field the team, right? Because when we were looking at one code one week and another code the next week, sure, that wasn't going to wash down there, because we all know hurling's number one, right? But I'd imagine that's after being a big factor.
Oh yeah, 100%. I suppose, sure, obviously, as you said yourself, like, hurling is priority down here. I don't think we have any underage football teams even in the club. We played under 14, I think, but that's still maybe one of the last teams I can remember having a team, and even I think maybe 8 or 9 years since we had an adult team. So. Yeah, definitely the split season makes it a lot easier, because at the start of the year there, start of the football season, obviously there was nearly 35 lads up in the field. It was mad, so I think it's just given everyone a bit of a break from the hurling as well. But obviously it's kind of, I think it's great for the club to be back in it, and I think that obviously split season is kind of allowing us to do that. And yeah, no, it's great for the club. I think if we could keep going with it now and maybe try and introduce a few underage teams, it'd be great, because there are a few footballers in the club, but it's just a matter of getting, I suppose, the kicking into us early on. But yeah, no, look, it's great. We're delighted to be part of the final now on Sunday, and we're all looking forward to it.
Yeah, great stuff. So, like, in respect of lads that would have played a bit of football before, obviously, the lads that, it's possible that lads that went to Boris and obviously to Good Counsel would have played a bit, because Good Counsel in particular is a big football in school. And Boris would have played at a fairly decent level. And some of them lads are tasty enough now, it's just they haven't played for some time. But I think, I was only thinking back earlier, like Jack Kavanagh played for Leinster Rangers. They took out the Mount, I think, to facilitate Jack in 2006. He played in a minor final against a Rogue, and I think played in a junior final for St. Mullins the very same year. And Paddy's probably on that as well. And I'd imagine there's a few more of them that were knocking around. But for a lot of you, this is probably a first football final.
Yeah, it's definitely for me and my first football final. I did play a couple of games. I don't even know what grade we were at the last time we had a team, but like at that time it was kind of like there's 15 lads. You'd hope 15 lads show up on the day, and if you had a few subs, then it was great, like, kind of thing. But it's different now. I think lads are a little bit more involved, especially with I think they just want to be around the club a bit more, like when the hurling finishes early in the season. So yeah, and as you said, like lads like Paddy and Jack and Mouse and all, they probably would have played football for Good Counsel and Burris. So, like they have like the ability. It's just I suppose getting away from the hurling and start kicking, like. So the kicking kind of lets us down at times, but we're slowly getting better as the year goes on. But no, there are a lot of good hurler or footballers in St. Mullins, so hopefully we can continue with the football for the next few years.
So Andrew, like in terms of the meeting earlier on the championship, so you actually beat St. Mullins that night, which was quite a surprise at the time, because St. Mullins were expected to walk this, right? And a lot of people were giving out that they shouldn't be in Junior C, but you actually went and bet them that night out in Clonmore. And
yeah,
we go to Google Maps for that now. That's a good hour of a spin. Like, I don't think there's a longer spin between two clubs in the whole of Carlow. So it was a 2-8 to 7. I think, was there 7 points in it in the end? Or something like that, yeah.
I think there was, yeah. And to be honest with you, it was fun. There was a few of us basically travelling around the same distance down from Dublin to get down for it as well, because there's a few lads on the junior team living in Dublin, like, so it's kind of like everyone was making a bit of an effort just to get down, especially for that game, because we knew kind of the challenge that was going to come from St. Mullins. But I think that we were confident enough. Basically, this entire year, we've been kind of playing very well. We have some talented players on the team, and it's our second team, but some lads there have great experience, and then we have great talent coming through, kind of young lads. So we were kind of going into that game confident enough, but we knew kind of the challenge that was going to come from St. Mullins, and we kind of held on. They had a lot of possession that day, but as himself was saying there, the kicking kind of let them down on the day, and we kind of were able to compensate then, and we were clinical on the other side of the pitch, and that was the beatings of it in the end. Like the game was actually, if you went and watched it, it was possession wise, the lads had a lot of the ball, so we were kind of just holding out, defending with like really hard defending and hitting them up hard, because we knew kind of big kind of senior hurling kind of players, they're going to hit us hard, and we kind of tried to give it back to them, and eventually we ended up pulling away towards the end and getting a few kind of crucial scores. But we were delighted that day. We weren't majorly surprised, because we're confident enough in our own ability. Even as a second team, we have some good footballers. But I'd imagine Sunday is going to be very similar. It's going to be a good old clash. Like it's not like, as far as I'm concerned, it's not a Junior C clash. It's more, it'd be almost better than the Junior B final, to be honest with you. It's going to be a clash of two very good squads, you know.
Yep, I'd imagine so indeed. And there's no fear of Clonmore lads not hitting you hard anyway. But I can tell you one thing: nothing hit me harder than the actual ground out in your pitch there a few years ago, right? Because there was divots everywhere. I was after coming on as a sub at half time. I'd kick the ball on the edges, and yeah, thought it was right. And next thing, crunch, ankle in absolute bits. I have a poor track record actually against Clonmore, because Willie Rooney brought me leg in 2003 playing under 12 football as well. And it's funny because I actually met him a few years ago on a night out, and showed him the scars. He says, "You remember me, do you?" He's like, "Davids." Yeah. Oh, yeah. And just roll the eyes or whatever. Is Willie back with you? Because I know he crossed over the border there for a while.
Yeah. He played because the last year's championship was being played this summer as well. So at the start of the year, we basically played the final. We got bet by MLR in the final at the start of this year. That was last year's championship, and Willie was playing that game, and he played a couple of games this year. Now I'm not sure if he'll be there Sunday, but he came on actually against St Mullins the last day, so he's definitely in and around the squad, that way. But he's got a new baby recently as well, I think. So he's got more important commitments at the moment in his life, that way. But I'd say he probably remembers he always, every game he always seems to get one of those kind of big hits in. So he's a great asset to have when he's on the field.
He loves a bit of contact, all right. And congratulations to him on the newborn or whatever, So you're actually no stranger to the podcast world yourself and the brother, the Latte show, is it?
Yeah, we had a podcast there just over the fucking lockdown. We decided we'd put a bit of a podcast together because we were bored, and we got I'd say 5 or 6 episodes just kind of over the space of a couple of months, and kind of got a bit of a snowball on it. But COVID kind of shut that down on us. I'm living in Dublin mainly, so it was hard to actually meet up at some stage. So we might get it kicking off on Sunday night when we're in the corner up in the pub if we have the cup and hopefully, but there might be a few lattes had that night, but yeah,
espresso martinis, lad.
Yeah, exactly. So but and actually the brother he's playing on the junior team as well. Actually, the two of us are on it this year. And normally he'd actually be he'd be on the first team, but he decided he'd take a break from the first team this year. So we're lucky enough to have him for the juniors. There's a couple of lads like that actually this year. Thankfully, Owen Cormac, I think you were mentioning him in the last game, the last podcast. He's had a great year really, and St Mullins he was crucial. Scoring some, I think he scored our 2 goals that day and scored some very crucial points towards the end of the game that kind of pulled us away from the lads, because it was neck and neck really there with St Mullins the last day. So some crucial players really that kind of decided to commit to the seconds instead, which is great, So
he got 5-6 in the semi-final. That's mad scoring.
Yeah, exactly. And sure, he got a couple of goals there in the first 15 kind of, and we immediately just thought, right, that's it. We were kind of happy enough. We thought we had finished them off, and I think ourselves and St Mullins really for the entire year have been putting up savage scores against all opposition, and it's really been the two of us. Even after the game against the last day, I think I heard a few lads just saying, like, across the divide, see us in Dr. Cullen boys come the end of the championship, because we kind of knew at that stage there's no other competition. Like the two teams really are like the best of the bunch. So it'll be a good outclash now, and it'd be a very interesting game to watch. It. Hopefully, it's entertaining enough ahead of the old senior game.
Oh yeah, and so you're captain, Oisin, yeah?
Yep. Captain this year. Don't know how to pick that, but must pull a name out of a hat or something like that.
Yeah, well, look, it'd be a massive thing as well, and you'd have a fair session if it ended up going down your direction. And I'd imagine, like always, when St Mullins are playing, there's always a massive support, and I expect that to be no different.
Yeah, no, in fairness, like, sure, geez, the St Mullins supporters, they live and breathe hurling anyway, but there are a few diehard supporters that followed us up to Clonmore, and we played Palatine up there as well. But the numbers seem to be getting bigger on the sideline every week. So no, I think it's great that everyone is enjoying it, and everyone still has the flags up around the parish anyway. So it's great to leave them up for a little while longer.
That's what you want. Well, listen, we're doing a live commentary on it as well on Sunday. I kid you not. So Junior C football, we said the creme de la creme. So it's live on the left wing back on our Twitter page from 1:30. So don't get stage fright now, lads, right? We don't put you under pressure.
Try not to.
We'll all be thinking, what's Kevin saying now? What's he saying after that? I'll put that one right. Kevin's giving out now.
Yeah, well, listen, no, I'd like to do so. Look, in all seriousness, it's nice to cover all the grades and stuff, and there's effort being put in on your behalf as well. So delighted to do so, lads, and the very best luck to both of you. So that's 1 o'clock on Sunday. Sorry, in Netwatch Cullen Park, ahead of the senior final. Andrew Byrne, Oisin Boland, the very best luck, Ari.
All right, thanks, man.
Cheers.
Thanks for jumping on, lads. We'll chat to you. So we say good luck to Andrew and say good luck to Oisin. I think we've Brian O'Donoghue here on standby. How are you, Brian?
Kev, how are things?
Ash, you're flying it in yourself.
I'll take off the referee mask.
You're fairly busy this evening. Where are you at?
Forgot I had that on, sorry.
Are they all your county medals, are they?
We had 2 junior A medals and we 2 under 12 C, and we're in Ballykeely. The chamber county chamber awards are on, so every year they some of the businesses in Carlow get presented with awards first. Things like best shop front in Tullow, best shop front in Bagnallstown, best shop front in Carlow Town, and there's outstanding employee of the year, and there's loads of different awards. So it's always a great night, and it's actually it's in 3 locations. So we're in Ballykeely, it's in the Dolman, and it's in the Bagnall as well. So it's been streamed live from 3 locations, and the way they did the technology now was really impressive. You'd be right up your street now.
What is good stuff. Listen, no, that's great, and so you're. Thanks for jumping on, first of all, because...
I'm sorry that you had to use me, the bottom of the barrel in referee.
No, not at all. It is, in fairness, you know yourself from being in the media game, it's incredible how lads become so shy so quickly. But yet when you see them in the pub with a few drinks in them, different story altogether.
I remember, whatever it was, 5-6 years ago now, and you and I'd be doing commentaries, and you wonder, you can see the numbers logging in to listen, and sometimes you see very few maybe messages coming in. But then you maybe go to the pub afterwards, and as I say, just I heard you were a bit harsh there on whoever running through, and you're kind of going, oh, so you are listening, but it's it's good to be kind of talking football with somebody anyway.
Definitely. Never a bad thing to be talking about with you. I think we've John Kearns here as well. Well, John, how's it going? Can you hear us? Yeah, or just having difficulty hearing you, John. Can you hear us? I think you can hear us, but we can't hear you. All right. I think you could be on the laptop there. So what I'll ask you to do, we are live here as well, obviously, but jump on that link via your phone, because I sent it to you on WhatsApp as well, and it should work for you there. I want to kick you there for the moment. So don't respect to me and you, right? This is the joys of doing this live. But yeah, listen, just going back to that as well, it's something I've always said. Very grateful to yourself for giving me the break, right? Because obviously in 2014, I ventured into media, and I went to a meeting, right? And I ended up on commentary for a county final, which was, not expected, but definitely very enjoyable. And that gave me the graw for it. So on that occasion, obviously, that was O'Loughlin, Rathvilly, and Rathvilly just about edged that one. But yeah, no strangers to a county final day over the last 20, 30 years maybe.
But you're doing yourself an injustice. Like, in fairness, I remember getting that email from you in 2014, and you sent me a match report, and it was better than anything I'd ever written. And I think very quickly it took me 3 or 4 years to realize when I wanted to get into journalism, I kind of was in awe of all the people that were in it, and it took me too long to realize that if you have the ambition and the willpower to do it, anyone with that ambition can do it. And you came along, and within 2 weeks you were texting me saying, "Here, I'm going up to do a CBS game in the back end of nowhere, wherever it was," and you had brilliant driving, and so don't. Jesus, I happened to be there while you were under.
I appreciate it. We great crack with the scopes. In fairness, even going up to the CBS game in the All-Ireland final, like that was a great day out, like
sneaking into the press section and go.
Why we'd premium tickets, and you said, "Oh, floor 7 was it?" And next thing, off we went. So I remember going only.
I rang the Brady one, I think Siobhan Brady was her name at the time in Crow Park, and said, looking for a press pass for Hogan Stand. We're on a website, and she was like, "No, we don't give press passes to websites." And I was like, it wasn't going to be a sellout now. There was good crowd there, but it was, and it wasn't like it was the All-Ireland final we're looking for. And we went up, and next thing, level 7, there was no security, and in we went, and sure. The rest is
tea and sandwiches and the whole lot.
Yeah, and I'll never forget Shane O'Neill's pass to
Holden.
Why did I mention his name tonight? But that ball into Holden and the goal was
delightful. Yeah, it was a great day. Super day in fairness.
Serious. Any Carrow team winning All Ireland. I remember the first Carrow team I seen winning All Ireland was probably the Michael Camogie women. I think in 2012 in Ashbourne.
Yeah, first wet day as well, wasn't it? I think, yeah, as far as I can remember. Yeah, that was mighty stuff and great times, and I'm genuinely always very grateful for those. I think we have John Kearns now as well. John, can you hear us now?
I can. Can you hear me okay there, Kevin?
There we go. We're 100% now. We have you loud and clear.
Big price. Here we go.
It's mad, right? Because I had Niamh Forde on at the start of the show, and same problem was there. She was on the phone and I switched to the laptop and it worked. But you're on the laptop and then come back to the phone. Anyway, we have you. How's things?
Whatever works. Great, thank God. Yourself, Kevin? All right.
Sure, look, flying it. Looking forward to all this.
And Brian, how are you, Brian? All right?
Hey, John, how are things? Yeah.
I'm good, thanks. Yeah, we're all good. Looking forward to the weekend. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so look, I kind of touched on it with Brian. Like Rathvilly are no strangers to county final day, no more so than Aero. But the battles between both sides have been mighty over the last 30 or 40 years, and you were lucky enough, I suppose, to be involved in a lot of those, John. So, what are your memories of playing Rathvilly, I suppose, and in terms of playing them on county final day?
Yeah, well, look, I suppose overall, most of my games against Rathvilly, again, like back in my day, of course, it was old school, it was knockout, so kind of you meet once in a year and that would be it come championship. And it pretty much nearly always was either semi-final or the final, and pretty much the final most of the time. And I always make a comment about Rathvilly over the years that, like, even like in our so-called glory years, when we were doing so well in Leinster and all that, we could never easily get over Rathvilly. It was the one game you're guaranteed to be an absolute belter of a game the whole time. And look, that hasn't changed to this day. Everyone's saying Ira Oger hot favourites and saying it all year, but the one team you'd always kind of feel would be Rathvilly in the championship. And again, kind of the further you go in the competition, the further you fear them, to be honest.
Mm-hmm. And Brian, that's kind of a thing that is very evident to everyone outside of the two clubs as well. Because what is it though from a Rathvilly point of view? It's not. They don't really give a shit who they're playing. They never do. I think that's the attitude from the outside in that they seem to adopt. And for the most part, it has stood them in very good stead.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And for me personally, the green and gold versus the red and white, it was always, even from a young person or a young lad, I always thought it was like Kerry and Cork, but with maybe sometimes the red and white possibly won more in Carrow than it did in Munster. But I think the great thing in both clubs is the breeding. If you look at some of the surnames, there's a Morrissey in midfield on Sunday. There's a Doyle at centre back for Rathvilly, and the two sons of Noel and Jody from the 90s. So there's loads of surnames there that it's amazing to look 30 years later, 20 years later, that these surnames are coming up again.
Definitely, yeah. There's any amount of that, and obviously linking back even generations beyond that again. So you can't make up reading as the fella said, but in terms of the last couple of months, because obviously we had last year's final played only 3 months ago, I think. So it's very, very recent.
Yeah.
And as we touched upon briefly on Monday night's podcast with Tommy and Christy, I think that was a little bit closer than the scoreline suggested, right? And you're thinking, Rathvilly need to make improvements, and even having seen them last weekend, I felt they need to make improvements to close the gap. From where I'm seeing Éire Óg at the moment, I think Éire Óg are still, it's kind of similar to Rangers in the hurling actually, right? They've won games or whatever, and you still think there's another gear or two. And I don't know, John, do you feel that yourself?
Well, you see, Kevin, I suppose you look at them kind of in two ways. You can say, first of all, that there probably is another gear or two left in Éire Óg to move up. But on the other side of the coin too, you can always say it haven't been kind of probably tested properly yet. So that's the other side of it, So which side comes out, we'll see the weekend probably, But look, if you go by last weekend, probably Éire Óg didn't play as well as other games either, That could be down to the opposition as well. But maybe that would be the kick in the arse to say that they might need they know themselves they may improve. They may improve from last Sunday. If they don't, they could be in serious trouble against Rathvilly. So it'll be tough if they don't play well.
And Brian, where do you see it from the Rathvilly point of view? Do you feel there's big improvements to be made, and how confident are you that they can make those and cause an upset?
God, I wish I hadn't asked me that. I'm always kind of cautiously optimistic. As a Rathvilly man, you'd back any Rathvilly team on any given day. In saying that, going up against a team that's going for 5 in a row, you're going to have to have your your ducks in a row. I think, interestingly, the team that Rathvilly put out in the county final of 2020 a couple of months ago is different, a lot different to the team that will probably feature on this Sunday. It's actually closer to the league final that Rathvilly actually won this year. So it just with the minors that couldn't play and that with the age gaps and that. So how confident am I? I suppose you give any Rathvilly team a chance. There's no doubt that Éireog obviously are the favourites, but I would. I give any Rathvilly team a chance. If there was one that wants to have the green and gold on their backs, anything can happen, you know.
Yeah, for sure. John, I want to get you talking about those 90s finals a little bit more, right? Because I think there was 3 or 4 finals. So what were they like? Obviously, you were in the peak of your powers in terms of winning Leinsters, but they were hard fought, like.
Yeah, as mentioned before, like the Rathvilly games were always hard fought, you know. But again, a point I do make when this kind of topic is brought up about the team in the 90s and that is that I think the reason we did so well back then too was that we genuinely just took every game the same. Like we played against, like to say, Rathvilly and that the same as we take on Lawn Rangers or Kilmacudden like that. I mean, we didn't change our game or preparation for every game with the very, very same. And that's probably one of the reasons why we did do so well as well in Carlow and beyond. And again, like that would be kind of a testament and respect to the likes of Rathvilly that, you know, like we didn't take them for granted in any shape or form, you know, and that's probably one of the reasons why we did kind of beat them as well overall, is that every game to us was an honour and a final as such. We knew, look, every game against Rathvilly in particular was always kind of a battle. There were always kind of tough games, as I said before there. Like there was teams that did beat by 10, 15 points over the years, but Rathvilly was never one of them. There were always close games, and they're always, you know, you might win by 4 or 5 points in the end, but with 10 minutes going, any of them games, with anyone's ever taken, you know. So there were great battles back in the day, you know, and look, great teams with great players, you know, on both sides, you know. So look, that kind of it's still kind of going that way at the moment, as regarding the best kind of players in Carlow at the moment are probably on both them teams, you know.
Mm-hmm. And obviously, if you're going on the form side of things, both sides won their games in the group stages. It's funny, Dunzer, right? Because on the pod we said 3 of the lads said Bagginson are going to beat Rathvilly, and then Rathvilly just completely tore up the script and were very dominant the other day, being honest about it.
And but only one kind of real positional change or kind of tactical alteration, which was just missing the first day from what I can gather. But in fairness to Bagginson, there's some real talent there, and if they can kind of keep it going and get a couple more performing, to be laughing. But I was chatting to a fella earlier about the teams in the 90s, and it was a bit of a cheeky comment, but Rathvilly obviously won back-to-back 1990-1991. And the comment that was made was the only reason Éireog became so good was because they had to beat that Rathvilly team. So Éireog went all to Rathvilly for the golden years.
We give them credit for that, so they're the reason why we kind of went on from there. Then just stop the 3 in a row, you know. So God, it's a long time ago. Good times, good days. But just going on there, what Brian was saying, he made a couple of points there, kind of valid points about, as you say, about Rathvilly boys. Once they put the jersey on their back, they don't care who they're playing against, you know, and that is typical Rathvilly, you know, and that's where they've always been, and that's the kind of admiration and respect that they fully deserve. I mean, you know, from a small kind of village to year in, year out to produce teams that are thereabouts in the championship. Okay, Éireog won the last 4, but listen to the football between them and Rathvilly in some games over the years there too, and that, you know, so, and like as you said there on that, like they have immense pride in their jersey over there, and probably, you know, they're one of the most proudest teams that I've ever come across in the country, you know. And just going back there to that Bagginstown game, you know, like it was a close game in the round robin, you know, but then they did that it really didn't matter as such who kind of came second. I know if you came third, you had kind of quarter final and that, but you had a bye if you won it. But really, at the end of the day, when it came down to the crunch, when it came down to the knockout last weekend, Rathvilly showed their true colours and easily dismissed the Bagginstown, and were very impressive in doing so, I thought.
What's the secret to Brian Murphy this year? Brian, we all know he's been a fantastic servant to Rathvilly and a fantastic player, but he seems to be playing the football of his life this year, and obviously he's coming towards, I suppose, the tail end of the career, like.
It's the Bagginstown woman he's married to, I'd say. For that. No, Brian is looking at a program the other night. Brian made his debut in 2004 as a 17-year-old. against Éire Óg, I think, or was it Fenna?
No, Fenna was in the final. So
yeah, but his debut was against Éire Óg as a 17-year-old, and I remember watching that match, and I was only 14 at the time, and being in awe of how he was able to play senior at such a young age, and it's probably a little bit more common now than it was then, or so I thought. But he's just been phenomenal. I think I'd have to get Tommy Murphy to give me a few programs, but I think he's probably passed out JJ now as all-time top scorer, which is a serious feat. And if that's wrong, I apologize. My apologies to JJ, but the two of them have a serious scoring record. But I think Brian, and his scoring this year has been absolutely phenomenal. I think he scored 2-6 in one of the practice games as well. So he's just been phenomenal. And there was talk that he sort of had to give up the year before last, and I think with COVID, then I think he kind of just felt that it was kind of whether it's one last hurrah or whether he's more in the tank after this. It's hard to know. But and then there's the elder statesman as well, Tony. She's well into his 40s at this stage, and he's still playing. So there's something in the water out here, I'd say, Kevin. There's
something, all right, yeah. But Brian had 2 cruciates, did he? Maybe 3 over his career.
Possibly. But I remember in primary school, Brian Murphy broke the same arm twice, I think, on one stage. He's just like you couldn't break him up. I remember at one stage he had torn the cruciate and was still able to play. And I remember at the time the talk was kind of physios were saying, no, you should be in pain, the scans were showing that the cruciate was gone or something, and he was still able to play. He's just a
freak.
In a nice way.
Yeah, in a nice way. Freak of nature as you. Yeah, so in addition to that, I think it's fair to say that the overall contributions from Rathvilly players that are not always in the limelight are worth pointing out. And lads touched on it slightly. Deirdre the last day, wing back, I thought was very good as well. In addition to lads complimenting him, we kind of talk about Brian and Brendan the whole time, and rightly so, with good reason. But other guys have stepped up, and even one thing I liked the other day, and I wouldn't expect any less from him, right? But young Kevin Murphy was getting a little bit of hardship, gave it back, no fear of that. Next ball went and plucked it straight out of the sky, and not long later scored a point. I like that, and I think that's something that Rathvilly have always had a knack of doing as well, is bringing through players of real quality and real calibre, because it seemed like Kevin Murphy came out of nowhere during last year's championship, right? And I know he's only a chap, so obviously he's only a year or two into it, but James Hickey said before about St. Mullins in a hurling context. He produced a gem, and you always seem to be able to do that. Like Conor Doyle a few years back, Josh Moore's on the county panel. All these lads seem to be coming through, and you might not have massive volume of lads maybe that do continue to play, but the lads that are of real high quality.
Yeah, and it's hard to know. Every now and again we do produce gems, and it both, like, give an example. I suppose that the Brendan, Barry John Malloy's and the Jeffrey O'Donoghue's, they were of a particular age group. They were on that Leinster team in 07, on the Carroll team there. They're now in their early 30s, and before that it was the Alan Kelly's, Ed Finnegan's, Brian Murphy's, and before that it was Gary Dempsey, JJ Smith, and that age group. And it's every 3 or 4 years, if you can be bringing 2 and 3 lads onto a team, it does wonders. And it's the same in Éire Óg. I mean, the first Éire Óg man I ever marked in a match, and for people who, yes, I actually did play football, the first Éire Óg man I ever marked was Sean Gannon, and I roasted him. That's a lie, but I was wing back and he was wing forward in under 12 match, and that was in an out match out in the field. And but like Gannon's age group, I suppose, Gannon's, the Owen Roots, the Murta Wares, that age group, they all brought in 3. The next age group was probably the Chris Blakes, the Niall Quinlans, and then you've the Ross Dunphys and the Reece Denise coming on as well. So it's the clubs who do really well manage to bring in 2 or 3 every couple of years, and that's when you have a spine like that can constantly bring improvements. You're going the right direction,
Definitely. So John, the one thing that kind of struck us and struck me, I suppose, over the weekend was the fact that, and obviously your own lad was on the Éire Óg intermediate team.
Yeah.
Like, they won that championship by 13 points, and not one player has played the other day. You know what I mean? It's such a remarkable strength and depth that Éire Óg do have, in fairness.
Yeah, well, I think this year now more than ever kind of showed that, all right. Obviously with my young fella Evan getting a goal, it was great. Look, it was unfortunate circumstances, of course, with poor Johnny breaking the wrist just before the I think it was the quarter final. Like, but look, Evan was asked to stand up, and he did, so it was late for him. But yeah, look, when he went through the whole panel, I mean, it was an amazing area of youth that are there. Something like 10 under 20s actually. See me, someone said 10 under 20s finished that game on the field of play. And I think of them under 20s, I think they're all actually 19 even, would you believe? So it's looking good that way, all right. As you were mentioning earlier on, there, like it kind of come in droves, I suppose, as such, with every couple of years, like, and that, But I just made a point earlier on there about, like, okay, well, like in Carlow, in Aero, of course, being a big town, a big population, that you probably would expect to get kind of the numbers coming through. Where like Rathvilly being a small village as such, how they keep producing the numbers is remarkable. Like, it really is. And you're saying there about, like, obviously, like Big Brendan Murphy, of course, is a main man of the team, and and Brian, of course, as well, being there now for so long. But the highlight is kind of pretty much nearly always on Brendan, that these other young lads are coming through under the radar, and they're playing so well that they kind of go unnoticed out of other clubs. That it's only when they get to kind of semi-final, final stages that the rest of the kind of county see them and go, "Jeez, these boys are pretty handy," So, like, again, I have to give Rathvilly unbelievable credit for the way they keep producing the players in numbers that they do, like, for a place so small, But as Brian was saying, yeah, it is a kind of case of every couple of years, the kind of a certain kind of batch come along then again, and so on, So, but like, it'd be interesting to see now how, like, as I said, my young Evan, like his age group now coming through, like, they're all 19 now, But they, like, when they were kind of growing up, like, they didn't win a thing. Their first ever even county final was just 2 years ago in the minor final against Bangor, which they lost. That was their first ever county final, even. So hopefully now, maybe going forward, they might be a bit more successful than they were underage, But it's a different ballgame, of course, when you go to adult football. But it's looking good that way as well, all right, as regards the youth and coming through. And look, I'm sure it's very similar affiliate. Like, they have a lot of young ones coming through as well at the moment, So it's good times, I think, ahead, for both clubs.
Maurice Brown will obviously be looking for a good few of them boys. He's after been appointed new Carlow 20 manager, so. I'm sure he's hopeful a lot of those guys you're saying they've another year under 20 that maybe they'll commit.
Yeah, well, I'd hope so. And obviously if they're asked in, they should answer the call anyway, So, but sure, listen, to have this under 20 championship is supposed to be starting anyway, like the weekend after next as well, So we'll see how that goes. I mean, I'm sure he'll see plenty of players then, like, and that's the time to go see players. It's, look, you can have all your trials and challenge games all you want, but really it's if you want to see players play properly, go see them playing championship games. So look, Mercer will have a chance over the next few weeks to see the lads play at proper championship level, so to see how good they are then, and hopefully anyone that is asked to come in will answer the call and give it a good battle for next year.
It's funny, actually, on a kind of slightly separate note, I know of a lad coming back years ago that got a phone call to go in and play under 21 county hurling. He was 23 at the time.
Did he go in?
He didn't. No, he didn't. Actually, I heard quite recently about a lad who was 37 playing an under 20 practice match. That's true as God. A few weeks back, they were stuck for a number or two, so he stood in. He does look in around that age as well, but I think it was fairly late. He was loving it.
But it wasn't me, anyways. It wasn't me as one sort of thing.
There was a fella who years ago was playing under 16 for Grange, and he drove to the match. Now, lads don't know whether he was legally driving or was overweight for the match, but it was one or the other,
Yeah. It's mad. It's mad, the stories and stuff you hear that what be after happening. I remember playing. I played a minor hurling match down at Mullins. Jesus, sure, that's 2008. I was 17, and yeah, sure. Look, I hang myself to dry. I was in Foley's Gary Hill the night before, but and a lot of their big lads were. Well, the same Mullins boys were somewhere down their direction as well, engaging, because I was marking Big Jim Murphy. And Big Jim disappeared over to the line. He says, go away. I said, Jesus, I'm not letting this out of my sight. Next thing, puke straight out through the card of the helmet. So Jim had a couple as well, I think. And I'd say we probably have a few set ones listeners still from earlier, because we had Oisin Boland on. But actually, look, it's mad stuff that happens, and especially...
There's a really good Rathvilly Oak story. The 83 final, the first time they met in the final, I think it was, and 5 points to 4, apparently the worst final of all time. I think even you were too young to play in it, John, I'd say.
I was.
And
God, I was only I was only under 16 then, so I wasn't playing. No.
The story goes that the legendary Vinnie Harvey was coming home from the Munster final the same day, and the scores came on the radio, and it was Rathvilly 5 points, and then there was a pause, and apparently Vinny is supposed to have said, "Oh God, Eire Og after hammering them," and then it was Eire Og 4 points, and apparently he was silent the whole way home to the car after that push. That's the story goes.
Yeah, he's got a few gems as well. In fairness, Harvey, I've heard a couple indirectly. I've heard a couple indirectly, and one of the best ones I heard. I don't know who the player was involved, but it was a struggle to get 15 together. And the ones was at the freezing there. I don't know if he's hearing me. It's gone a little bit distorted. I'll just kick him for a sec, and maybe he'll jump back in on the link there. But the story was anyway. A team was struggling to 14, and they needed an extra body. So they got the extra body anyway, and Harvey supposedly told him, he said, stand out in the corner at the corner flag and don't go for the ball, don't do anything. So he stood out in the corner flag supposedly, and yeah, next thing he went for a ball. And I think Brian is back. I'll just bring him back in. You back with us, Brian? No, I think he's under a bit of pressure, right? But so anyway, he went for a ball, and at halftime came. He said, "What did I tell you?" He says, "Sure, look, I want to get involved in the game or whatever." He says, "Look," he says, "like this. You know you're shy. I know you're shy, but he doesn't know you're shy. So stay in the fucking corner and keep out of the way." But I'd say that's tip of the iceberg in terms of the stories that are supposedly out there.
Yeah. You have one there. Just again regarding the 14 players. One year, of course, we were playing with Carlow, and we had to play Cork away, and of course meeting in Shamrock Square probably 8:30 in the morning, for the long journey down, and only 14 players on the bus, and. I won't say any name now, but a certain man, he was driving the bus, and he says, "Right, me boost there, so I go down." And the boy said, "Hey, you can't go, you're suspended." So we had to give a forfeit, had to give a walk over. We had 14 players and a suspended bus driver as well, so we didn't go to the game in the end. Yeah, we gave a walk over. So unfortunately,
sure, look, at least you're suspended from driving, sure. You got
no, thank no, as far as we know, anyway. So.
Yeah. So John, listen, we're back to the two of us now. So I don't know if Brian's going to be jumping back on with us, but let's get down to the nitty gritty of this, right? So, and I'll get a verdict on tomorrow night's game as well. We'll have you on between the Blues and Ballyrand relegation final. But who wins this on Sunday for you, and why?
Well, look, you have to look at your kind of your head and your heart, and to be honest with them, I suppose the moment I both would still say Eire Og. You know, their favourites. Bookies having very, very strong favourites. I wouldn't go that far now, you know. But look, to be honest, Kevin, I always say about Eire Og, if Eire Og play anyway to their potential, they don't be beaten, I think, at all, you know. So again, if they play the way they can play, I expect them to win by a few points. But if they don't play well at all, if there's anyway struggle at all, or ref really get that kind of good start on them, it'll be a different game altogether, and it will be tough. I still fancy Eire Og to win it by a couple of points. I'm hoping to kind of if they click anyway at all, I think they really are a handful, especially up front. They're very, very good scoring forwards in the last couple of years as well. The backs have been tremendously solid for the last number of seasons now, you know, and they're all pretty much season campaigners as well. The backs pretty much kind of pick themselves as well, which kind of says it all, you know. So I still would say Eire Og to win it by a few points in the end anyway. Yeah.
Right. Brian is back for a verdict. So you have John's verdict. What's your verdict? Sorry, we were getting in trouble there with the internet.
Yeah. So verdict. I think the heart says and the head says something similar to the league final, hopefully. But you're back on your Rathvilly team on any given day. So Rathvilly for the win, Kev.
Good stuff. And just a word, lads, on the relegation final. So Ballyrand versus the Blues. That's the tomorrow night at 7:30. We are doing live commentary that on our Twitter page as well on the Left Wing Back. That one will be in association with Lynch's For Goodness Cakes. They have a bakery going up there as well. So we're very grateful for them for getting in touch and sponsoring that. And they're sponsoring the Junior C final for us on Sunday as well. We're covering all the bases that the local radio station having the rights to. So we're picking up the pieces and happy to do so. What's that?
Any free samples?
Talk nicely to Martin Lynch, and we'll see. We'll see what happens. But so like that's a funny one because Ballyrand were promoted, then they were relegated. Now they're senior again. will they be relegated again? That's the big question. John, where do you see it going?
Yeah, look, interesting to say the least. I just said, listen, 2 weeks ago, Banner were kind of gone down. What did they do when they were officially relegated the first time? Like, did they go on the lash? Have they been back training properly since? We don't know. The Blues again too, kind of similar look. I'm hearing training what has been going too well overall there. I don't know how true or false that was, But look, if both teams are going to have to be to give it all, Like the Blues are probably, I didn't see the game. The Blues were probably a tad unlucky against O'Loughlin. They had the wins of the game. Maybe a bit of experience in the end too probably cost them that, and maybe we kind of fitness too that O'Loughlin can finish with a few points towards the end. It's tough to call. There was 2 ding dong battles with them there a couple of years ago in the intermediate when the Blues came back with something like about 9 points down to draw at level, only to lose the replay. But I think it's going to be another kind of close game again. Look, to be honest, I think it's really down to know who really wants to stay up the most. That's what it is, Again, look, if I have to choose one, I think maybe Banner might shade it. They've had their kind of their reprieve or their let off now. I think they might take full advantage of it, But again, it'll be a close one. Again, it really is close. But if it going to the bookies, I'll probably back a draw on it. But if I had to pick one team, I think maybe Banner might shade it.
Good stuff. Well, listen, John, thanks a million for jumping on the Up for the Match.
Pleasure, Kevin. Absolute pleasure.
And,
great stuff.
Thank Brian O'Donoghue as well, who just have an internet
issue. He's come for the cakes, is he?
Yeah, he could go for the cakes. So your cakes, and off he went, yeah. But obviously, we wish the very best luck to Rathvilly and Éireog and all the teams taking part in county finals over the weekend. Match officials as well, not forgetting them. It's a big day for them. So all the best. Yeah. And listen, John, great to chat to you again. It's been a while, right? So maybe we'll see you over the weekend, sir. Yeah,
definitely. Yeah, no doubt. I'll be here. All right.
Thanks again. All right.
Talk to you then. Thanks, Kevin. A pleasure. Mind yourself.
There we go. So, that's where we leave it, folks. Just to say thanks to our sponsors, Sports Equipment Ireland, their website, sportsequipment.ie. Promo code and everything there for 10% off. TLWB, obviously standing for the left wing back. And those guys stock all your team training equipment, including tactic boards, poles, bibs, cones, and much more, as well as a large range of Christmas gift ideas for kids. So yes, thanks very much to them, and thanks to all our guests who joined us over the last hour. We're now going to end the stream. We'll get the audio on Spotify, Apple, etc., as quickly as possible. And yeah, looking forward to covering the games over the weekend, and we'll chat to you again soon. Take care.